next time something blows up, next time your launch flops, or next time a post fails for the 100th time and you're like, maybe I'm not good at social media. The next time a deal falls through, the next time a number comes in way under what you projected or even needed, like desperately needed, before you let your brain file it under failure. This one's magic. This will change everything. Ready? Ask this one question.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Harder Show, where we are making you unapologetic about your pursuit of success, knowing that when good people like you make good money, they can then do great things. My name is Chris Harder, and several times per week, I will bring you epic guests, solo episodes, and every single tool, trick, and skill set you need to grow your business, grow your money mindset, and to grow your wealth to levels that you have never reached before. I've ended up in a unique place in life where I've got the experience, the connections, and all of the secrets that it takes to be successful. And I'm lifting the curtain to reveal it all to you in an effort to help put you in a position of abundance so great that you can then be as generous as possible. So let's lock arms and let's get started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Chris Harder Show, where today I am grateful for my superpower of being really, really good at strategy. Now, listen, let me be the first to tell you, I am bad at a lot of things. I mean, terrible at a lot of things. And, when I'm bad at something, I just rely on somebody else to help make it up for me. I'm really good at finding that partner or that friend or that hire or that collaborator that can do the parts I'm not. And I think that's really, honestly, how I've gotten where I am, is I'm really good at recognizing my weak spots. I don't try and pretend I'm good at them, and I farm those out. But the one thing where I am a freaking maniac is strategy. I can see the forest through the trees like nobody else can. I can monetize somebody's brand. I can see where they're missing money. I can see where they're missing audience. It just comes so clearly for me. And I love sharing that with people like you. I have an opening for a one-on-one client. Just wrapped up a client that I worked with for a couple of years. Freaking love them. We did so well together, more than doubled their business. And this opening is for a 90-day or a 6-month client, a 90-day or a 6-month client. Now, here's why I do it differently than everyone else. We don't just sit and Zoom back and forth. I don't just start with like some 60 or 90-minute session. You fly to me on my dime, by the way, out here in Newport Beach, and we kick it off by spending an entire half day, longer than a half day together, whiteboarding out everything where you are, everything where you need to go, and putting a set of tracks in place for you to run on. Then we do all the checking in between. Then you text me every single day when you need something. Then I fly you back out here again for a checkup, because plans always change. Then we go back to working together in all the in-between moments, and then I fly you out here again. You're flying out here every 60 to 75 days when you're on my program, because I'm a firm believer that you get way more done when you go deep in person without distractions, as opposed to some quick Zoom here and there. So if you want to do some coaching with me, go to chrisharder.me/coaching and fill out the app. Again, that is chrisharder.me.me/coaching. That is chrisharder.me/coaching. Let's start out with the 90-day contract or a 6-month contract, and let's get together in person and literally rewire your entire business so you can double your revenue or more this year. All right, guys. So I want to talk about the difference between the haves and the have-nots. I want to talk about the difference between those who make it and those who don't. I want to tell you the one thing, actually, and I literally mean the one thing that separates people who eventually make it really big from everyone who kind of quits, or, they've got their battle story. Oh, I once thought of that. Oh, I once tried that. Oh, I once had this business. But you can kind of tell that they're down and out and they haven't made it. Like, what is really the difference? Is it talent? Is it connections? Is it money? Well, all those things have something to do with it. But honestly, it's not any of those things as the one silver bullet. It's really not. Here it is. You ready? It's how they label what goes wrong along the way. Let me repeat. The single greatest differentiator is this. It is how somebody labels the things that go wrong along the way. Here's what I mean. When something goes wrong, some people call it failure. And once you call something a failure, your brain kind of just like closes the file, like quits on you, like case closed, lesson over, this thing sucks, time to walk away. And unfortunately, you go find evidence to support that's a failure. Humans are really good at finding evidence to support their brain's natural default. But other people call that exact same event something different. They call it feedback. And feedback keeps the file open. Feedback says, okay, that didn't work. What's the next iteration? Feedback says, oh, okay, going left didn't work. Let's go right this time. Feedback says, oh, going up didn't work. Let's go down this time. Feedback says, oh, that reel didn't work for some reason, even though I thought it was going to pop off. Let's do the same message, but as a carousel this time. Feedback says, okay, that hire didn't work out, but I know I need this type of person, so I'm going to hire again. That is feedback. Feedback is just redirection. Like, same event, guys, two different labels, two completely different future outcomes based on those labels as well. You see, here's what nobody tells you when you start a company, when you start a business, whether you got big dreams or small dreams, the same thing's going to happen. Ready for this? It is not going to go the way that you think it's going to go. Not even freaking close. Like, the plan you wrote is basically fiction by month 6. And that's the moment where some of you will call it failure. And you'll find all sorts of supporting evidence to reinforce that belief. But a few of you will call it feedback. And you will keep going. So, I mean, guys, honestly, the question isn't, will things go wrong? Things are going to go wrong. I guarantee you, I promise you. The question is, what are you going to do with that moment? What are you going to do with that event? What are you going to do with that data once they do? You see, failure says, this is who I am. This is proof I shouldn't be doing this. Oh gosh, everyone told me this wasn't going to work. I guess this is the proof of that. Feedback says, okay, this is just information. This is the market or the system or the economy or the timing telling me something I needed to know before I went further. And that's it. That's the whole game, guys. Everybody's getting the same signal, but the winners freaking decode it differently. Make sense? Let me give you a personal example, because I'm not just like preaching this. I literally lived this tons of times with tons of companies, but I'm going to give you the most recent one, maybe the biggest one. So if you don't know, if you haven't been listening for a lot of years, Frello is the hard money lending marketplace that I co-founded, connecting real estate borrowers with private lenders. It's literally the first tech-forward aggregation of this marketplace. I can't believe that somebody else hasn't created an aggregation marketplace for this, but they haven't, so I did. And on paper, right now, it sounds great. It's probably one of those things like, damn it, why didn't I think about that? We've got our first paying borrowers flooding in. We've got our first paying lenders coming in as well. We've got real revenue flowing as of a couple of weeks ago. And we even landed a huge partnership with a real estate investor community that like replaces our marketing budget in terms of acquiring buyers. Like, guys, it is working. But I want you to know what I actually went through to get here, because there were many moments of, is this failure or is this feedback that I had to interpret? So Frello started a few years ago as a personal loan app that once I became obsessed with solving this at scale, how do we get one stranger to lend to another and protect it, and people helping people and all that stuff. Once I became obsessed with doing it, my business partner Matt and I, we put over 2 years and over $2.5 million into building the greatest two-sided personal app you have ever seen. And during soft launch, right before the main launch, due to the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, making a ruling on our only competitor at the time, we suddenly got the quote-unquote feedback from our lawyers that we couldn't move forward anymore. You see, nobody cared what Jim lent Bob $500 for in the past. Nobody regulated, no one gave a shit. But suddenly, when one platform was out there doing it to the tune of $1 billion over the course of over 1.5 million small personal loans from stranger to stranger, people helping people, suddenly they cared. And they made a ruling that literally took the loophole that we were using and wiped it away. So we couldn't proceed. And this felt devastating. I mean, I had investors' money on the hook. I had my future and my reputation at stake. And for most people, honestly, this is where the story would have ended. It literally caused me a stroke. I don't mean figurative. I mean literally, you guys. I had a stroke shortly afterwards. I'm blind, mostly in my right eye. It's crazy, but not for me. And this isn't me like being like, look how great I am. No, this is just how I'm programmed. You see, this moment felt a lot like failure. And it sure as hell looked to most people a lot like failure. But instead, I took it as a terrible, inconvenient, poorly timed feedback. Not failure, feedback. Even though it was tragic feedback. And I went back to the drawing board to see, okay, how can I salvage this thing? And Matt and I and the team, we rolled up our sleeves. We asked everybody that we could think of for input. And 18 months later from that moment, 18 months, by the way, of Matt and I pouring our own money into the company to keep it alive, we have pivoted into an even better, more profitable, safer business model now. And we are off to the freaking races, baby. But the quote unquote feedback didn't end there. Like even after launch, guys, once we launched, and by the way, imagine how excited and relieved we were at this point. We started showing it off to all the private money lenders that were onboarding, and they started using it a little bit here, using it a little bit there. And while they loved the concept, every one of them had their own feedback. Like, oh, this feature shouldn't be here, or this is going to cause this problem, or that shouldn't be there, or why doesn't it have X? Why can't it do this? And I get it. Feedback sucks to hear, especially when you're really excited, especially when you think you've gotten past a milestone. But it doesn't mean that it's a failure. It just means that you label it as feedback and you make adjustments on the fly. You see, these events, big or small, doesn't matter. They're like getting answers to the test. And think about like back when you were in school. Who wouldn't want answers to the test, right? I know I tried to cheat my way through all the tests. Well, these nudges that most people label as a failure, especially if they get a couple in a row. Oh, it's a sign from the universe. I'm not supposed to go this direction. No, fuck that. Most people, when they get a few of these little things that they label as failures, instead of seeing them as nudges that you're supposed to go a different way, they quit. But if you see it as a nudge, if you see it as an answer to the test, then you feel empowered to keep going. That is the sole difference. You see, I want you to really sit with this. There were multiple points over the past few years where if I had let myself call it a failure, and by the way, most people look at it, starting to call it a failure, I would have quit. Not thought about quitting, not like actually quit, guys, especially after the stroke, especially after I tore my bicep and shoulder, especially after running out of money and have to put all of our own in. Like there's a lot of chances for me to get off the train during this thing and say, hey, we tried really hard and it just failed. But it's not how I'm built. And it's not how a real entrepreneur is built. Matter of fact, if you wonder if you're a real entrepreneur or not, maybe you need to take a look inside and say, hey, do I see these things as failures or do I see them as feedback? And that's the answer to if you're going to be a real entrepreneur or not. And by the way, I'm not unique in this perspective. Like I built this muscle. I proactively learned this perspective by studying some of the biggest names in business. I've had moments exactly like this in their story. A moment that looked like, oh God, this might be the end. Like this is where it all falls apart. But they chose to read it as, feedback and as a redirect instead. So here's an example, like Sarah Blakely. So before she became super famous for building Spanx, before Spanx even existed, she spent years trying to build a business where she was selling fax machines door to door. And she would get rejected over and over and over while other companies were doing it just fine. And by the time that she had the idea for Spanx, she had already built a really thick skin around rejection. Partly because her dad, and this is really cool, used to ask her at the dinner table what she'd failed at that week and celebrated her for trying and encouraged her to see it as feedback and keep going. She didn't read no as you're not cut out for this business. She read it as, okay, maybe not this path, but I'm going to try the next door. And the habit of treating rejection as data, not identity, is a huge part of why she eventually built a billion-dollar company and sold it in the whole 9 yards out of a pair of cut-up pantyhose that turned into one of the most famous products ever. Like, how badass is that? Here's another one. Airbnb's founder, Brian Chesky. He was so broke and so rejected by investors early on that he literally designed and sold novelty cereal boxes because he was really good at marketing. Like, I'm not kidding. Google it. He sold something called Obama O's, like cereal, Cheerios, and Captain McCain's just to keep the lights on and buy some more time until he could prove that his idea was going to work. Every single investor pass could have been read as, okay, this is a bad idea. And guys, I've pitched investors many times. Let me tell you, there are people that look at you, that you look up to, and they tell you with certainty that this isn't going to work. They tell you with certainty that it's not going to happen. And so it's real easy to read this when you're pitching investors as failure. But instead, Brian read it as, we need to prove demand in a smaller, scrappier way first. And they went and they did exactly that. City by city, host by host, until the model actually proved itself, and now investors were lining up for him. I'll give you one last one here. Howard Schultz. You guys all know he's the founder of Starbucks. Technically, he's not the founder. Did you know that? He bought Starbucks when it was real small, a little coffee shop up in Seattle. And when he first tried to buy the company and expand it to the way he envisioned, he got turned down by investor after investor after investor. He got well over 200 no's during his fundraising process for a number of, all of his ventures, not just Starbucks. And if he would have labeled that as failure, then there'd be no global coffee juggernaut as we know it today. Like Starbucks or not, that's up for debate. But the point is, you cannot deny the fact that it turned out to be a massive success. He labeled all these rejections as feedback. He refined the pitch. He did it again. He got more feedback. He refined the story. He did it again. He got more feedback. He refined the vision and the numbers. And then he found the right room, and he kept going until the right yes showed up. Guys, none of these people were immune to things going wrong. They all had things go massively wrong. They just refused to let wrong mean it's over. They refused to label it as failure, and they just kept seeing it as answers to the test or feedback. So here's what I want you to do with this. Next time something blows up, next time your launch flops, or next time a post fails for the 100th time and you're like, maybe I'm not good at social media. The next time a deal falls through, the next time a number comes in way under what you projected or even needed, like desperately needed. Before you let your brain file it under failure, ask one question. This one's magic. This will change everything. Ready? Ask this one question. What is this trying to tell me? What is this trying to tell me? Not, what does this say about me? Not, what does this say about my skills? Not, what does this say about my future? Not, what does this say about my abilities or my idea? But instead, what is it telling you about the market or the timing or the way you structured it or the offer or the story you're telling with it or the audience you're telling it to? That single reframe is the whole unlock. It's the whole hack, guys. It turns a dead end into just another data point. Seriously, no dead ends, all data points. That's how you got to see this. Because the truth is this, the people who make it, and I know a lot of them very personally, they're the ones who are smarter than you. Yeah, a lot of them are very smart. They're not the ones that are willing to work harder than you. A lot of you are working really hard right now. And they sure as hell are not the ones who avoided things going wrong. I guarantee they have disaster stories that would make you curl up in a fetal position and just want to die. They're the ones who got really, really good at mining the wreckage for clues to their next move. And that's what you have to do. So listen, if you've had a series of speed bumps, or if you're in a season right now where it feels like it's all falling apart, I want you to hear me. It might just be feedback wearing a failure costume. Matter of fact, I guarantee that's what it is. Remember Frello. Sure as hell looked like failure. Sure as hell felt like failure. Everything around it sure felt shitty. and now we're off to the races. I want you to have that story as well. Frello almost died more than once these past couple of years before it became the thing that's actually working today. And the only difference between that ending and this one was the label that I chose to put on it on the worst of days and during the most disappointing events. And by the way, now that it's out there, if you guys invest in real estate, if you flip homes, if you're buying apartment buildings, if you're buying multifamilies, or if you use hard or private money for anything, or better yet, if you lend hard or private money, go check out the world's first tech-forward aggregator of the private money space. Go to FrelloApp.com. That's FrelloApp.com. FrelloApp.com. Check out our work. I think you're going to like it. By the way, if you're not in the business, but you know someone who is, it would mean the world to me. I really mean this. If you know somebody who invests in flips, if you know someone who lends private money, it would mean the world to me if you would share it with them. FrelloApp.com. Thanks for listening, guys. You know I love and appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode and know of someone else who is as successful as they are generous, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world to me if you help me get this cause and this message out to as many listeners as I can. So please, if you liked what you heard, it goes a long way if you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. And until the next episode, cheers to your success.